So we're learning objective 3, identifying these key elements of the customer value driven marketing strategy. And we talked about that orientation and what does it look like to guide our marketing strategy. So marketing management, so it's both an art and a science, right? So it's never just 100% data driven, right? Both qualitative and quantitative. There's sort of an art to it as well, to really sort of understanding, and that comes with experience and other factors, along with the data, to help really understand what is your target market and building those profitable relationships, which we'll talk more about. Because we really need to fully understand who is our customer. What does that consumer marketplace truly look like? If we don't know who we're going to serve, how are we going to know what to serve? How are we going to understand the value which we're going to bring the marketplace, right? And so we have to understand the customer in order to understand needs, etc. And that's often overlooked. We typically say, oh, we've got value, and then we try to find a customer. So what customers will we serve? What's our target market? Truly need to identify that. Is it large enough, right? Sometimes we'll, and I've seen this often at work, is we'll identify a need, but the market's not big enough. And so you really have to say, okay, now we've identified a market. Is it large enough? Does it sustain a profitable business case? How can we serve these customers best, assuming that we've identified an attractive target market? So we think about how can we best serve these customers. So think about value proposition, and we'll talk a lot about that value proposition as we go. I can tell you that there's a lot of people that work for companies and they don't know what their value proposition is. So take a moment and think about, do you know your company's value proposition? Like, what truly is your value proposition? It needs to be short, succinct, and really identify what's your differentiator. Why are you different? And why would a customer choose you over others and find that you satisfy needs? In a nutshell, worth choosing you and spending value on you versus others. So here's the value proposition. So once we decide how one will serve a targeted consumer, we really have to differentiate our position, right? If we're the same, then it's all about price. And I guess price can be a major differentiator, but that's a tough one. It's a really, really tough one. And one you can pursue, but it's often one that's not sustainable. Again, others have done it, but you need to decide, what is my value? So, for example, when we talk about a brand's value, it's a set of benefits or value that it promises to deliver to satisfy, right? I'm going to make your life better in some way. How am I going to improve the lives of others? So I have to think about that when I design a value proposition. And if I'm not doing that, either I don't have the product or service I think I do, or I'm not targeting the right customers, right? Do they really have these wants or needs? So I have to make sure that I understand folks' wants or needs in order to design my value proposition as well. So think about JetBlue. Award-winning service from award-winningly nice humans. Just all right doesn't fly here. So we talk about certain airlines, or we talked about Starbucks or Amazon or others, but their commitment to delivering exceptional value to specific customers, right? Amazon's case, it's a very large audience, a very large consumer target market. Others, it could be smaller, but again, it's all about your target and are you delivering and capturing said value. So figure 1.3, again, we're still delivering value here. It contrasts the selling concept and the marketing concept. So when we think about the selling concept, it takes an inside-out perspective. It starts with the factory, focuses on the company's existing products, and calls for heavy selling and promotion to obtain these profitable sales. It focused primarily on customer conquest, getting short-term sales with little concern about who buys or why. And then in contrast, you've got the marketing concept. The marketing concept takes an outside-in perspective. The colorful founder of Southwest Airlines, and Southwest is starting to really struggle a bit, but it's often been this exemplar used, and it's still, I think, fundamentally a solid organization, but we don't have a marketing department, we have a customer department. So the marketing concept, if we think about that in figure 1.3, starts with a well-defined market. Then we focus on the customer's needs, right, and integrate them with all those marketing activities to affect that desired outcome. So we want to yield those sticky relationships with the right customers, and you have to define what that right customer looks like. But it's based on that value that we're delivering to the customer. So go through this chart. I'm not going to spend any more time on it, but it's worth noting, worth understanding. So now we talk about market orientations. There are 5 alternate concepts under which organizations design and carry out their marketing strategy. The production concept, the product concept, the selling concept, and the marketing concept, and societal marketing concepts. So we think about marketing management wants to design strategies that will build profitable relationships, and you're going to hear that over and over again with target consumers. So let's break these down. Production concept, consumers will favor products that are available and highly affordable. So this is a concept that is still useful philosophy in some situations. So let's think about an example. In highly competitive, price sensitive, like in the Chinese market, both personal computer maker Lenovo and home appliance maker Haier, I think it's Haier, I always pronounce it wrong, dominate through low labor costs, high production efficiencies, and mass distribution. But this can also, and again, this is important in some markets. In some markets, you have to be this, choose this concept. But you can be myopic. You lose what's really important to customers' needs and building those relationships. The product concept favors products that offer quality, performance, and features. So this is about like continuous product improvement. You're continuing improving quality and other parts of that product to deliver those uh, value to the consumer. But this can also lead to market myopia because the manufacturer or the supplier can start to think, if I keep continuing to build a better mousetrap, they'll beat a door to my beat a path to my door to get my product, right? And so what happens is you realize that, hey, my customers' needs have changed and I didn't even realize it, right? There was a disruption in technology or disruption of some sort in the marketplace, and I was too busy focusing on building value into my product and missed all their needs. The selling concept, it will not be enough of the firm's products unless the firm undertakes a large-scale selling and promotion effort. So we think about the selling concept is typically practiced with unsought goods, right? So you got to push these. Those that buyers do not normally think of buying, such as life insurance, blood donations, and other types of donations, right? These industries must be good at tracking down prospects and selling them on a product's benefits. It's a tough sell in many cases. So it carries a high risk. It focuses on creating sales transactions rather than building long-term profitable customer relationships. And then we have marketing concept. So you really want to understand with this, you want to understand you want to know and understand the needs and the wants of the target markets and deliver these better than your competitors. I often find, for example, in my work, we make pneumatic devices, and we have a lot of competitors. But at the end of the day, we're probably our worst competitor because we're our worst enemy. And so if we get things right, I often find we don't really have competitors in the marketplace. We can deliver value differently than anyone else if we can do what we need to do. So I often say to folks, and again, it's not out of ignorance, it's out of we need to do our work first. In other words, if we can do what we've promised to deliver, we typically deliver or get that value delivered, right? So the job is not to find the right customers for your product, but to find the right products for your customers. And then we move on to societal marketing concept. Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream it's a good example. Does more than just make good ice cream. So if we think about Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream, it makes ice cream created in fellowship with growers, makers, and producers from around the world, all for the love of you. So you think about this societal piece that is embedded into Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream. And we see it more and more with sustainability or the circular economy. There's a lot going into that today. So we'll talk a little bit more about societal marketing. It's important, but I'm going to quickly cover this. Again, we have so many slides to cover, and we're already probably about 40 minutes into this. So the societal marketing concept questions whether the pure marketing concept overlooks possible conflicts between the consumer's short run wants and the consumer's long run welfare. So think about a firm that satisfies the immediate needs, wants of a target market, and whether or not it's doing what's best for the consumer in the long run. So we talk a lot about Patagonia, right? It looks about long-term needs as it manufactures. So it wants to deliver value today, but it wants to deliver value tomorrow too. So we think about the circular economy. If I'm making something today, I need to be responsible for those. Maybe the material I'm manufacturing to house the goods or services that I'm delivering. So I need to be responsible for that stuff, environmentally and otherwise. So let's talk about that quickly in figure 1.4. So 1.4 talks about these society, human welfare. When we talk about, you think about many leading businesses are really questioning, and marketing thinkers, shared value, because they recognize that society needs, not just economic needs, define markets. And so when you think about it that way, you've got to think about company profits, company wants, and society's interests. So we know about global warming, and this isn't a debate about global warming. Doesn't matter what you think about it, it's now important to most people to at least think about when they're buying something, am I not contributing to it, right? Or am I decreasing? So what factors what role does it play in global warming? When we make a car purchase, we now have all of these EVs, and that's, think about how we're marketing and positioning that. So it has a lot of ties to society, excuse me. So it's really important to note. So think about doing good can benefit both the community and the company. And we see a lot about that, people over profits. But profits, when you do people over profits, it also typically rewards the companies. And so you see Costco do it and others as well. So now we'll talk about the marketing mix. And it's really comprised of a set of tools known as the 4Ps. I think most people have heard of the 4Ps. And it's the product, price, place, and promotion. And this is how you deliver on its value prop, right? So we talk about product, price, promotion. Think about how do you promote a product. Selling's in that as well. And where do you promote it? What's the place? So we'll spend a lot of time talking about this later, but just think about that's the 4Ps of marketing. So you've got to have a product that satisfies needs, or a service, right? That can be either or. So, and then what do you charge? Right? We talked a lot about that. You've got to make sure that you're capturing the value and managing those expectations. But what does that price look like? And how do you make this, where and how? Where's that offering available to the target consumers? That place. And you have to gauge customers, persuade them. So you think about that promotion piece. So it's important to note about this marketing mix. So the key to building lasting customer relationships is to create superior customer value and satisfaction. Satisfied customers obviously are more likely to be loyal customers and give the company a longer and larger share of their business. But think about it, it's perceived value. So let's talk about that. The difference between, what is perceived value? It's the difference between total customer perceived benefits and its cost. The next we look at a customer satisfaction. And so this is the difference between the performance of the product, right? And its expectations. So what did I pay for the part? And how did it perform? And if they don't align, then there's a problem. So we can't have a gap or it becomes problematic. So one company that does this really well is Patek Philippe, the watch manufacturer. I think we're all familiar with this. I may have butchered the name, but I sure don't own one. I'm not sure I would if I could. I'd always worried about the watch. But if you own one, you probably know how to pronounce it. And if not, maybe you could help me. But nevertheless, they really have people that don't even think about, it's not owning a watch. It's an investment, right? You give it to your family, and they typically go up in value. So they only make it a certain amount, and again, they typically are passed on to generation, and they more often than not, go up in value because they're really not sold, and so they're highly sought after. Think about customer engagement marketing. We touched upon this earlier, but this marketing goes just beyond selling a brand. It goes beyond just selling a brand, but it goes to make the brand a meaningful part of the consumer's conversation and lives. So when we think about companies that are doing this, they're using all kinds of tools, online media, mobile, social, and others, to really refine and target and to engage customers at a deep, deep level. They want to interact with customers. They want their customers to interact with them. So this really focuses and directs a continuous involvement, and I think we can all probably think of a few. Here, Bark interacts with customers in humorous ways about their favorite topic. So they do it with this weird dog we live with and the funny things that dogs do. So they really encourage their folks. I think they had 42 million views or something. A post about the weird things that people do, and if you can imagine, how the cat videos and dog videos get so many. So this is brilliant from an engagement perspective. So here is a form of engagement marketing, this consumer generating marketing. And they've done this through, again, different platforms, blogs, social media, and other digital forums. But you invite consumers to play an active role in shaping products and content. And here they ask their consumers to draw ketchup. And they drew Heinz. And I think that's brilliant. I don't know if you remember the Dove commercials, but they had a Dove commercial where women were talking about their bodies, and that's a great campaign. I don't know if you've seen it. Maybe I'll share that. It's a little bit older now, but they had talked about and I don't have the specifics on top of mind, but they had talked about women's body and the different shapes, etc. And they had women walk through uh, how they felt about themselves, and it was pretty mind-blowing how many women didn't see themselves as beautiful when they actually were. I mean, I think they all are, but anyways, moving on. So you think about this, we talked a little bit about this, but this was really brilliant because obviously most people think of Heinz as ketchup anyways because it's just so ubiquitous, but they continue to push and push and push it, their brand through different vehicles. So when we think about, in addition to being good at customer relationship management, marketers must also be good at partner relationship management, working closely with others inside and outside the company to jointly engage and bring more value to customers. So we're all aware of these types of programs, right? Where we really want to create loyalty. So these types of loyalty partner tools, I think we all have seen them. I think they're everywhere now, but there's some that are much better at doing this than others. But it's a great way to make their profit streams, and they benefit both the company and the consumers greatly. I know that I use them. I actually have a Delta, so it's a wonderful tool. So managing and capturing customer value. This is Stew Leonard's profitable 4-store supermarket. So we talk about lifetime revenue of a customer is $50,000. Because Stew, his average customer spends about $100 a week, shops 50 weeks a year, and it remains in the area about 10 years. So he knows that, and he understands that if he loses one customer, it can be a significant loss. So how do they build loyalty programs? So that's when we think about, what does it cost to keep a customer coming back? What is that lifetime value of a customer? So I love the customer's always right. If the customer is rule number 2, if the customer is ever wrong, reread rule number 1. And obviously customers can be wrong, but we've got to make sure that they continue coming back.